All right, welcome back to the Fast and Furious movie review. Of course, it will be Fast and Furious, which is the fourth movie in the chronological order, not really in the timeline, as this is the movie basically where it's not a continuous story. Like, you don't have to watch the movies before to get the movies after, but it is basically where that's it. Nothing really changes. It's not like Fast and Furious was Brian and Dom, Too Fast and Furious was Brian and Roman. And Tokyo Drift didn't have any of them. I mean, it had Dom at the end, but he doesn't count. But now, Brian, Dom, Letty, Mia, not Roman. Roman doesn't appear yet, but basically he's close, right? Tej, he's been shown as Too Fast and Furious. It's all here to lead up, of course, to the next movie, Fast 5. But before that is, of course, Fast and Furious 4, where a lot of things do change and they do set up basically everything. This is basically a movie to set up Fast 5. But of course, the movie starts off with Dom and his basically new crew, as his old crew basically got gunned down. Yeah, Dom ain't really too good with crews, but it includes Dom, Letty, and Han. Well, these are the people that we basically know the names of. There's two Dominicans. I would assume they're Dominicans, and Han's girlfriend, right? But of course, they're shown here just to set up their involvement in Fast 5. Right? Because they literally are gone by after the heist, right? But one important thing in the heist is to show that outlandish stunts happened in Fast and Furious before Fast, 7, 8, and 9, right? People always say 7, 8, and 9 had the most outlandish stunts, and they're not wrong. They did have the most outlandish stunts by far. But let's not sit here and say Fast and Furious ain't had those type of stunts before. Because in this one, Dom basically unhooks, or Letty unhooks, one of the oil tankers where they keep, right, to sell. And the other two, well, they end up crashing, right? The truck ends up crashing right in front of, or basically right in front of Dom and Letty, blocking them. And then the other oil tanker, which they didn't get, obviously, because, their cars aren't that strong yet, starts spinning towards them in a fiery ball of death, right? And we know what Dom does? He just drives right under it. He just drives right under it. And it's like, Oh, that's not outlandish. It is outlandish, bro. Not as outlandish as Fast 7, right? As we get it. But there has been some stunts before, because Fast and the Furious and Tokyo Drift are the most grounded movies in the franchise. And it makes sense because they're earlier in the franchise. Because Fast and the Furious' most outlandish stunt is Brian and Dom's 10-second race at the end of the movie, where they drive past the train. But the thing is, that always happens in action movies. They're driving, and they have to drive past the train that's literally coming towards them. So that's okay, right? And in Too Fast and Furious, second most outlandish stunt so far, where Brian and Roman end up driving a car off of a dock and flying into a yacht. So, not really too believable, because the dock didn't even seem like a ramp, because it's literally a dock, right? But whatever, right? And this oil tanker one, come on. Let's not sit here and say that Fast and Furious has always been this grounded, realistic movie. But anyways, after the successful heist, the group disbands, like I said, because their only involvement here is basically to say, oh yeah, Han definitely did enrolled with Dominic, and the other two are just there, like I said, to set up Fast 5. But in the turmoil, Dom does leave. Why? Because now he's making a name for himself. Because before he used to, where the local truckers armed themselves, so Dom doesn't rob them. But now, basically, not the whole country, but basically enough of the country are trying to go after him, where he says, all right, it's not safe to do it altogether. All they want is me. And Han obviously alludes to the fact that he goes to Tokyo, saying, okay, fine. All right, we're going to go drive solo. I heard there's a lot of good stuff in Tokyo. So, yeah. But one of the people Dom does leave is Letty, because Letty, although being a day one, he said it's too dangerous to be together and all that stuff. So he leaves to Panama. But before we catch up with Dom, obviously, like the other main character, you can't have Fast and Furious without this guy, Brian O'Connor is back in the FBI after letting Dom go in Fast and the Furious. And basically, not going rogue in Too Fast and Furious, but basically the cops just suck in the Fast and Furious franchise. Except Fast 5. Like I said, Fast 5 is basically it, right? But they all thought Brian went rogue, but he basically climbs the ranks again, and he's now FBI with a suit. Which means he's a much, higher up FBI agent, where his task, or for a while now actually, is to catch a cartel kingpin And the way they do it is by infiltrating them, by getting into a race, winning the race, and becoming one of the drivers for, I would assume, Brago. Brago is the guy, the main man. But he does get his name, David Park, which is the dude that organizes the race. It is very important because Dom, in Panama, gets a call from Mia. He's saying, "Hey, yo, man, Dom, I know you in hiding." Because Dom gets pretty much like, "Hey, why you calling me, man? I'm hiding, bro. You can't call me." So yeah, but Letty, yeah, she died. Yeah, she got killed. It's not like she died of like a heart attack or something, or type 2 diabetes. No, she got killed off screen. Not really off screen because we do see a flashback of her death, but for the most part, she dies off screen, which is really weird. Cause I was watching this, I was like, "What? She just dies?" I don't remember this, right? But Dom ends up going to LA. So is Brian, because well, they both mutual connection, which is really weird because after Fast and the Furious, you would expect Dom and his crew not to be really close with Brian because cop. But he is there, although they're not at the funeral directly because Dom can't do that. He's still a wanted man. The FBI still kind of want him, right? And Brian's not there because imagine being there, and be like, "This is cop, get out of here, cop," right? But Brian got his name, David Park, while Dom gets it from a different guy, aka the Underground, right? Where we get to see, obviously, after being away for so long in Panama, that he basically lost all credibility or street cred, whatever you want to say, in the streets of LA, as they're like, "Man, you left here, man. You ain't nothing no more." And then Dom literally threatens to throw an engine on him, so it's like, okay, calm down. Okay, I'll give you a name. And he gives him David Park. But we start getting piece by piece how Letty died, because the whole story is Dom trying to find out who killed Letty to get revenge, and Brian trying to take down the Kingpin, which coincidentally is not the same person, but they both had to travel the same route to get to the same guy, right? Where Letty was actually an undercover agent trying to infiltrate the cartel Kingpin, right? The cartel. But she was one of the casualties that happened. He said, because they basically said, "Oh yeah, we sent all these racers to do these heists, right? For Brago, right? And they all died." And they're like, "Damn." And Letty was one of them, which is really weird because you expect her to be one of the better ones, but she still died. So it's very obviously more alluding to the fact that Dominic and Brian are the top dogs, right? The best of the best drivers in Fast and Furious. No one can compete with them one-on-one. But David Park is the one who does the races, right? And Dominic does find David Park and basically tries to kill him, obviously, because he thinks he's the one responsible. That's what I would assume. And Brian needs him, well, because he needs a way into the race. But anyways, after capturing David Park and having his own whole little encounter with Dom, like, "Hey, drop him, Dom." So I was like, "Oh, no, you want to do this, huh? Ain't you trying to turn me in, O'Connor?" Like, "Oh, leave him alone, Dom." But anyways, they both end up in a race where Dom, of course, uses his very overpowered American muscle car, and Brian, his upgraded car. I don't know what it's called, but it's basically set at the end of the race after Brian loses, because Dom, obviously he needs to win, right? He's not an FBI agent. It's not like he could do anything else. He has to literally win the race. So he rear ends Brian, making him swerve uncontrollably, and he loses the race. And this, once again, alludes to the fact that Brian might be the better racer than Dom, because Dom needed to basically not cheat, because like they said, there is no rules on the road, man. Right? But if it was a fair 1v1, Brian would technically be better than Dom, which is very much a step up from Fast and the Furious, where he basically blows out his own engine in the first race. In the second race, it's a tie, basically. I would assume Dom wins. But let me tell you about something. Dom's muscle car is so OP. Like, every single time it drives, it goes on its hind wheels. Like, all the time, from the sheer power from it. And we get to see how OP it is later on in the franchise. Specifically, which I would assume, Fast 8. But anyways, Dom wins. Hoity-toity. And Brian loses, but he does get to see who else is in the race, which is the guy who basically said, "Oh, you really think your car can win? American Muscle wins all the time," which he ain't wrong. I have never seen any race where American Muscle loses. Sean didn't lose with his American Muscle car, and Dom didn't lose with his American Muscle car. It was either a tie or Dom won. He didn't lose with the American Muscle car, right? So like I said, if you want to be an OP racer in the Fast and Furious franchise, you need to drive an American muscle car. But anyways, Brian is out of luck as well because he lost a race. He lost his chance. But the guy who did make the comment of the muscle car, he is one of the drivers of Braga, right? He's already guaranteed a spot. You know what Brian does? He uses FBI skills to raid his house and plant meth on him. And this is one of the funniest parts of the movie. It basically, let me just show you the clip.
Dwight's never touched that shit, bro.
Dwight has now.
No, that ain't mine. Get up.
No, that's never gonna stick, right? Yeah, it's not supposed to.
It's really funny. It's like you know it's not gonna stick. It's not supposed to because he just needs a day basically to be in there. So now Dom and Brian are on the team, and Dom's like, of course. He's like, I knew he was gonna do something with the FBI because he's like he looked at him like that. It makes sense because Dom knew he didn't have a second chance. If he lost, he lost. But he knew Brian had some ways to get in. But anyways, they get their call to start smuggling drugs into Mexico. So they have to get smuggled into Mexico to smuggle it back into the U.S., right? And they drive. Let me tell you something. This is one of the best race driving scenes because this isn't a race, but a driving scene. Smuggle the drugs, right? Where they have to drive all this way and they have to go through some tunnels. Let me tell you, this is some of the best scene of the franchise. I get it. We're only 4 movies in, but it's some good stuff. Some good stuff. This tunnel scene is one of my favorite scenes. And of course, they make it to the end where, of course, they have to get killed off because that's basically how it goes. And of course, Brago's second in command or something, right? Basically, the leader of the drivers basically brags to Dom, being like, yeah, I killed Letty. We killed her crew first, right? Because there was Letty and her group, the groups that she got put in, and they got killed. Letty tried to escape. He chased after her, killed her, shot her, all that stuff. And I'm like, okay. And you know what Dom does? He basically explodes his own car because before leaving, he basically turns up the gas and turns on some, I don't know what he turns on, but he turns on something that obviously blows up the car. And then that gives them a chance, that gives Dom and Brian a chance to escape because unfortunately the 2 other drivers, they didn't make the cut. They died. So they managed to escape with all the drugs basically. And they hide it, of course, in a police impound, as Brian says. It's the last place they'll check. I wonder where the cop put it. The police impound? Nah. The sewers? Yeah, probably. So basically, now they're getting back together because they actually meet up with Letty, right? Because Dom got shot, right? He needs to get healed up, but they can't go to the doctor because he's wanted and all that stuff. I mean, they still would have healed him, but they would have called the cops afterwards. Would have stuck him with some anesthesia or something, make that boy sleep. Basically, everything's going all hoity-toity. Brian basically gets back with Mia because he does have feelings for her. It's just, you know, him being a cop, he kind of has to sacrifice that, right? Where Dom finds Letty's phone and realizes Brian is one of the contacts. That's right, because Dom didn't know that Letty was an undercover FBI agent. So, of course, he lashes out and starts to beat the hell out of Brian, which is super dumb. Because although Dom is basically the bigger, stronger man, Brian has to at least know some martial arts because there's no way he's an FBI agent with no sense of training. Like, I get it, they have guns and all that stuff, but come on, no hand-to-hand combat? That sucks. Where Brian, of course, says, hey, Letty did it for you, man. You know, because obviously, like I said, Dom did not want to bring Letty in because of, you know, her troubles, or his troubles, right, because he's wanted. So Letty decided to go to Brian to work for the FBI so he could clear Dom's name, right? If she did the task and took down the guy, then Dom's record would be cleaned and he could come home. The difference is, of course, it didn't end too well. She got killed. So it still sucks how she dies off screen. It's so dumb. It is like, why? Like, I get it. She's not Dom or Brian, but come on, bro. At least something. But anyways, they do the same deal again, but with Dom directly. They say, oh yeah, Dom's here. If he helps us take down the guy, his record will be clean. He said, all right, fine. So they stage a coup, bro. They set up a trap where they call Braga himself saying, hey, we got the stuff. And if you want the stuff, you have to come here and you have to give us the money, right? You have to basically pay to buy your own product, right? So it's like, all right, fine, right? So they go there, everything going relatively nice because the FBI is staying in I don't even know what it's called, a shipping container. It's waiting to come out. And of course, the police once again suck and they go preemptively. And then that causes Braga to escape back to Mexico. And they're like, man, what the hell's wrong with you? We told you to stay. And then the case gets closed because of all that stuff. Like, bro, you messed up. And Brian gets blamed? That sucks, bro. But anyways, he's basically taken off of duty. and all stuff. So Brian's like, screw it, I'm gonna do it my own, right? So him and Dom go to Mexico directly to take out Braga, which they find him in the church. Yep, they find him in church, take him hostage, and they get chased by his second in command until they go back in the tunnel, which again, another nice scene, nice explosion, go boom, 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 and all that stuff, right? Where they go back to the U.S., where they don't kill Braga, they actually turn him in, but they kill his second in command, which one of the most brutal kills in the franchise, because Tokyo Drift had Han dying via explosion, but at least it wasn't seen, right? And we would assume he died instantly in the explosion, right? Too Fast, Too Furious, I actually don't know if anyone really died in the movie. I don't think so. But Fast and Furious, the dude who did kind of have that ADHD stuff, Jesse, right? But that ADHD did get gunned down in front of everyone, died. But they still get squished between a truck or Brian's car and Dom's car. Just gets squished right between them where Dom goes full speed. And the thing is, that dude seemed like he could have escaped. But Brian grabs his leg and says, nope, you stay in there. Boom, he gets squished. I'm like, oh my God. Dude, imagine if it was R-rated. Yeah, that would be the worst kill ever on screen. Ooh, nasty. But of course, it's not. It's no blood, no nothing. But damn, you would just, oh my God, damn. And all in a day's work where the police come, arrest Braga, and arrest Dom too, because unfortunately the deal's off because he wasn't doing it for the FBI anymore. He did it for himself and, revenge on Letty. Because he did kill the guy who killed Letty, where they go to court. And they're like, Dom, yo, man, we know what you did, bro. You took down one of the biggest kingpins in Mexico, right? Who kept smuggling drugs and all that stuff. But you've done a lot of bad stuff in your time, which sucks. That's the dumbest thing. This dude took out one of the biggest guys or biggest threat to the U.S., right? And you still say, oh, yeah, remember that time you stole an oil tanker and no one died? Yeah, no, that's worse. Yeah, remember that time you stole VHS tapes or VHS players, right? Yeah, that's way worse, bro. Remember that time you were stealing cars? Yup, way worse. So you still going life to prison, or is it 25 to life? Where this, of course, Brian makes the decision that will basically be short-lived. Literally within a movie, he goes back, right? But he turns heel, where him and Letty and Han actually and the Dominicans, right? Basically the crew from the beginning of the movie show up in the end, where they obviously try to break out Dom, right, from his prison bus. And that is the end of the movie. Let me tell you something. The quality is a lot better, especially way better than Too Fast and Furious and Fast and Furious. But not too much of an upgrade from Fast and Furious. The atmosphere is really good. The lighting and all that stuff, the camera work, all pretty good. The cars, the race scenes and the driving scenes, very, very nice. It's a really good movie. Would I say it's the best so far? No, not yet. Nah. But of course we can't rank it yet because that's for the last video. But anyways, like I said, that is the end of the movie, end of the video, and of course the next video is Fast 5, which was supposed to be the middle man of the franchise, but Fast 10 is having 2 sequels. It'll be Fast X, Fast 11, and Fast 12. I don't know how I feel about that, but I have heard some people that they are going back to their roots. So it could be good, and also for the fact that they're having 2 sequels afterwards. Maybe that's just Vin Diesel's way of bringing back the franchise to its original state. And obviously you can't do it with one movie, especially since the last movie you went to space. So he obviously needs more time to bring it back, which I think that would be the last movie. I think the last movie would be really close to the original, obviously with a bigger budget and more explosions. But for the most part, I would assume Fast 12, I think it would be called, would be as close to the original franchise than ever, right? But anyways, like I said, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope to catch you in the next one.